Get out of my building, Vance. You hear me? You're trespassing on Sterling property. Richard Sterling screamed, slamming his fists against the double-paned glass door of the 20th floor penthouse. I didn't say a word. I just pointed to the certified court order in my hand, turned around, and took a sip of my coffee. 3 months earlier, the air in downtown Austin didn't smell like panic. It smelled like diesel exhaust, wet limestone, and the sharp, chemical tang of fresh paint. I stood in the cavernous lobby of the Sterling Plaza, watching a crew of 3 union stonemasons mount the final slabs of polished cream-colored Texas limestone onto the feature wall behind the reception desk. The building was beautiful. 20 stories of blue-tinted structural glass and structural steel, rising clean against the Texas sky at the corner of 4th and Congress. It was valued at $85 million on paper, and we were less than 3 weeks away from securing the temporary certificate of occupancy from the city inspectors. For 15 years, I had been the guy who made things like this happen for Sterling Development Group. When I joined the company, it wasn't a corporate entity with shiny offices and a board of directors. It was just Richard Sterling, a secretary, and me, crammed into a drafty office off Research Boulevard with 2 broken filing cabinets and a desk that wobbled every time a heavy truck drove by outside. I was the fresh-faced corporate attorney who decided to gamble his career on a loud, charismatic developer who promised he was going to reshape the Austin skyline. In those early days, I did everything. I wasn't just drafting standard lease agreements. I was out in the mud with the land surveyors, arguing with the municipal utility districts over wastewater easements, sit-down negotiating with local neighborhood associations to avoid height restriction lawsuits, and studying the city code until my eyes bled to find zoning loopholes that allowed us to add extra square footage to our floor plates. I worked 80-hour weeks on a salary that barely covered my rent, all because Richard and I had a deal. That deal was formalized in Clause 8 of my employment contract. Richard couldn't afford to pay me market rate for a senior real estate general counsel back then, so he offered me sweat equity. For every major commercial development I brought from raw land to completed construction, I would receive 5% of the developer's equity. For the Sterling Plaza, that 5% was scheduled to vest the moment the city issued the temporary certificate of occupancy. Based on our pre-leasing numbers and our current capital structure, my share had a guaranteed cash buyout option of $4.25 million. That was my retirement plan. That was the payout for 15 years of missed family dinners, midnight phone calls, and ulcers. But commercial real estate in Austin is a brutal business, and the ground beneath the Sterling Plaza was leased, not owned. In the industry, we call it a ground lease, and it's the ultimate double-edged sword. Back in 1998, I spent 4 months negotiating the terms with the Sinclair Family Trust, which owned the prime parcel of land the building now stood on. The patriarch of the family had recently passed away, leaving the trust in the hands of his widow, Eleanor Sinclair. She was 72 years old, sharp as a razor, and possessed a deep instinctual distrust of developers who talked too fast. Eleanor only trusted one person in our office: me. I was the one who sat in her living room, drank her lukewarm Earl Grey tea, and explained the legal protections we were putting in place to ensure her family's land was respected. The final ground lease we signed was a 50-year term. Under Clause 14, Sterling Development was required to pay the Sinclair Trust an annual ground rent of $1.2 million, due on or before December 15th at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Because Eleanor wanted absolute security, the contract had no room for error. Clause 14.1 was a strict no-offset net lease provision. It stated that the rent must be paid in full without any abatement, deduction, or offset under any circumstances. If the payment was late, the landlord had to send a formal notice of default. Once received, the tenant had exactly 5 business days to cure the default by delivering a wire transfer. If the clock ran out, Clause 14.5, the reversion clause, triggered automatically. Under that clause, the leasehold estate terminated instantly. The land, the lease, and every single brick, steel beam, and pane of glass built on top of it would immediately revert to the Sinclair Trust. As the completion date for the plaza neared, however, the atmosphere in the executive suite began to shift. Richard started showing up to our weekly progress meetings with his son, Ryan. Ryan was 30 years old, possessed an MBA from an Ivy League school, and wore custom-tailored suits that looked ridiculous on a dusty construction site. He had spent the last 5 years working at a boutique private equity firm in Dallas, and now he was back, ready to take over the family empire. Ryan was aggressive, greedy, and eager to prove his corporate brilliance to the board. He looked at my 5% developer's equity as an unnecessary expense that should belong to him. More than that, he looked at the $1.2 million annual ground rent we paid to the Sinclair Trust and saw it as an inefficiency. He began drafting plans to force Eleanor Sinclair to renegotiate the lease, planning to withhold a portion of the upcoming rent payment under the guise of tenant construction offsets. He had no idea that I had spent years ensuring that lease was completely watertight. 2 weeks before the city inspectors were scheduled to walk the building, Ryan started asking me to hand over the digital archives. He wanted the master tenant files, the contact lists for our lenders, and the direct correspondence logs with Eleanor Sinclair. He claimed he was setting up a new digital asset management platform. I didn't think much of it at the time. I was too busy coordinating with the fire marshal. I gave him the access codes, assuming he was just trying to look busy. I didn't realize that Ryan was preparing to cut me out of the company entirely. On a cold Tuesday morning, 2 days after the fire marshal finally signed off on our safety permits, I received a calendar invite for a private meeting in the main boardroom. The subject line was simply, Operational Transition. When I walked in, I didn't see our project managers. I saw Richard, Ryan, and our chief financial officer, Marcus. On the mahogany table sat a thick blue folder. "Sit down," David, Richard said, his voice flat, devoid of the warm, booming familiarity he had used with me for the last 15 years. "We need to talk about the future of this firm." I sat down in the leather executive chair at the far end of the table. The boardroom was quiet, save for the low hum of the building's massive HVAC system. "What's this about, Richard?" I asked, keeping my voice neutral. Richard didn't answer. He adjusted his gold cufflinks, looked down at his hands, and sighed. It was the performative sigh of a man who wanted to look like he was carrying the weight of the world, though he had never carried anything heavier than a golf bag in his life. Ryan was the one who spoke. He slid the blue folder across the polished mahogany table toward me. "We've done an internal audit of our digital communication logs, David. Over the past 3 months, we found several instances of sensitive zoning applications and proprietary land valuation models being sent from your corporate email address to a private domain associated with Austin Crest Partners." I didn't open the folder. I just looked at Ryan. Austin Crest was our main competitor in the downtown commercial sector. They had beat us to a prime parcel on East Riverside 2 years ago, a loss that Richard still grumbled about over drinks. "Austin Crest?" I said, a slight smile touching the corner of my mouth. "That's the best you could come up with?" "If I wanted to sell out this company, Ryan, I wouldn't do it by sending unencrypted PDFs from my own corporate account. I'm an attorney, not an idiot. The logs speak for themselves," Ryan replied, his voice rising slightly, thin and defensive. He tapped the blue folder with a manicured index finger. "The metadata shows files regarding the subchapter Eker commercial design exemptions for the plaza were accessed and exported using your credentials. We have a fiduciary duty to our investors. We cannot have a general counsel who compromises our proprietary development strategies." I looked at Marcus, the CFO. He had been with us for 10 years. He knew the numbers, he knew the contracts, and he knew exactly how much my 5% share was worth. "Marcus," I said, "you're seriously going along with this?" Marcus cleared his throat, looking at the wall behind me. "The board has been briefed, David. Given the severity of the allegations, we have to take immediate action. We're offering you a transition package." I finally opened the folder. On top of the printed emails, which were obviously generated by logging into my account from a device using my master password, a password that Ryan had requested from me under the guise of the digital migration, was a termination letter and a settlement agreement. I scanned the document. It was standard legal boilerplate, but the core of it was clear. Sterling Development Group was terminating my employment for cause, effective immediately. Under Clause 8 of my agreement, a termination for cause meant that all invested equity was permanently forfeited. Because the city inspectors hadn't stamped the final certificate of occupancy yet, my 5% development share was gone. In its place, they were offering me a severance payment of $50,000. In exchange, I had to sign a comprehensive release of liability, a lifetime non-disclosure agreement, and a waiver of my right to file any claims in state or federal court. Any disputes would have to go through private arbitration, a process that would take at least 2 years, cost $50,000 just to seat the arbitrator and be held behind closed doors where no one could see how dirty Richard's hands were. They had calculated it perfectly. They figured I would look at the arbitration clause, look at the cost of hiring a high-end employment firm, look at my mortgage, and decide that $50,000 was better than a long, bankrupting legal war against a multi-million-dollar development company. Richard finally looked up. He tried to soften his face, giving me the same paternal look he used when he was convincing small landowners to sell their family plots for pennies on the dollar. "David, we've had a great run. But the market is changing. Ryan is bringing in new institutional capital from New York. They want a cleaner corporate structure. No complicated equity splits. It's nothing personal. It's just business. Sign the papers, take the 50 grand, and we'll give you a recommendation for any firm in town." I looked at the settlement agreement. I looked at the signature line, then I closed the folder and slid it back across the table. "No," I said. Ryan frowned. "David, if you don't sign, we will file a formal complaint with the Texas State Bar regarding the data leak. It will ruin your reputation. You'll never practice law in this state again." "Go ahead," I said, my voice completely calm. "File the complaint. The State Bar actually requires proof, Ryan. They don't just accept printed emails generated from an IP address that traces back to the corporate guest Wi-Fi on the floor where your office is located. You forgot to mask the local network gateway when you logged into my account to send those files. It took me 30 seconds to spot the routing mismatch in my own email logs last week." Ryan's face went pale. He opened his mouth to speak, but no sound came out. He looked at his father, his confidence suddenly evaporating. Richard's eyes narrowed. "David, don't be stupid. You can't beat us in court. The arbitration clause is airtight. We'll tie you up in depositions for the next 3 years. You'll go broke before you ever see a judge." "You're right, Richard," I said, standing up and buttoning my suit jacket. "The arbitration clause is indeed very tight. It would take a long time to sue you for the equity. So I'm not going to sue you. Then what are you going to do?" Richard asked, his voice losing its artificial warmth, replaced by a hard, ugly edge. "I'm going to pack my office," I said. I walked out of the boardroom. I didn't slam the door. I walked down the hall to my office, took a cardboard box from the supply room, and began clearing off my desk. I packed my leather-bound notebooks, my Mont Blanc fountain pen, a gift to myself when we broke ground on our first strip mall 10 years ago, and the framed photo of my late wife. I left the company-issued laptop on the disk, completely wiped of my personal files but untouched otherwise. When I walked out past the reception desk, the receptionist, a young woman named Sarah whose lease dispute with her landlord I had resolved for free last year, looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Goodbye, Sarah," I said, handing her my plastic security badge. "I'm so sorry, David," she whispered. "Don't be," I said. "It's a beautiful day outside." I walked out of the lobby, through the glass doors, and into the bright, crisp December sun of Austin. I carried my single box of belongings to my car, placed it in the trunk, and sat in the driver's seat. I didn't start the engine right away. I took out my phone and dialed a number I knew by heart. It was the direct line to Eleanor Sinclair's private residence in Westlake Hills. The phone rang twice before her dry, steady voice came through the speaker. "David," she said, "I was wondering when you'd call. Did they finally do it?" "They did it, Eleanor," I said, looking up at the towering glass facade of the Sterling Plaza. "They terminated me this morning." "Good," she said. "The tea is hot. Come on over. We have a contract to review." Eleanor Sinclair's home in Westlake Hills was built from rough-hewn Texas limestone, nestled among ancient, twisted live oaks that overlooked the quiet waters of Lake Austin. It was old money. The kind of estate that didn't need to shout with gold plating or modern architectural gimmicks. She met me at the door, wearing a simple linen shirt and trousers, her silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She looked at the cardboard box in my arms, gave a small, dry nod, and led me into her study. The room was lined with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, smelling of old paper, leather, and wood smoke. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a green leather armchair. She poured 2 cups of Earl Grey tea from a silver pot. Richard finally let his greed get the better of him. "I take it?" "He wanted the 5%, I said, setting my box on the floor. Ryan convinced him that my equity was a luxury they couldn't afford with the new institutional capital coming in. They fabricated a cause for termination, claiming I leaked zoning data to Austin Crest. They're relying on the mandatory arbitration clause to keep me from fighting back. Eleanor took a slow sip of her tea. Her eyes were sharp bright and completely cold. "I never liked Richard. He's a bully who thinks a loud voice and a firm handshake can replace actual character. The only reason my husband and I signed that ground lease with him back in '98 was because you were the one holding the pen. You were the only one who didn't lie to us. She reached into her desk drawer and pulled out a manila folder, sliding it across the desk. I want you to take over the management of the Sinclair Family Trust, David. Our current lead trustee is retiring at the end of the month. The trust owns over $300 million in commercial real estate across Central Texas, but the crown jewel is the land under the Sterling Plaza. I want you to run it. I'll pay you a base salary that matches what Richard was giving you, plus 10% of the net income from any properties you personally manage. I looked at the trust agreement inside the folder. It was a massive opportunity, one that would immediately put me in a position of significant leverage, but I knew the legal boundaries. I accept, Eleanor, I said, but we have to be smart about how we handle this. Because I drafted the ground lease for Sterling and served as their general counsel, I cannot represent the trust as an attorney of record in any litigation against them. That would be a clear conflict of interest under the state bar rules. If they sue or if we have to evict, we need to hire an independent, heavy-hitting litigation firm. I will serve strictly as the Trust's chief operating officer and lead trustee on the business side, directing our outside counsel behind the scenes. Eleanor nodded in agreement, sensible. We'll retain Winstead PC. They've handled our trust litigation for decades now. What's the situation with the ground lease? The annual ground rent of $1.2 million is due on December 15th, I explained, and Ryan is about to walk into a wall of his own making through my remaining contacts in this local construction trade. I had learned that the Sterling Plaza's subterranean parking garage had developed a minor water leak, a common issue in downtown Austin due to the high water table near the Colorado River. It was a standard contractor warranty issue, but Ryan had decided to use it as leverage. He wanted to force the Sinclair Trust to renegotiate the ground lease terms, which he felt were too favorable to the landowner. He planned to deduct the estimated $400,000 repair cost from the annual ground rent payment, hoping to drag Eleanor into a prolonged dispute where she would eventually agree to amend the lease just to get paid. On the morning of December 15th, I sat in my new office at the Sinclair Trust Suite on West 6th Street. At 11 a.m., I placed a casual phone call to Marcus, the CFO at Sterling. Marcus, I said when he answered, "It's David. I'm just calling to request that my final W-2 and 1099 tax documents be mailed to my home address." "Of course, David, I'll have HR handle that today," Marcus said, his voice carrying a hint of relief that I wasn't calling to argue about my termination. "Thanks," I said, transitioning smoothly. "By the way, I saw a notification on the trust portal that Sterling's wire has been initiated, but it's only showing $800,000. Did the bank hold up the rest, or did Ryan run into a treasury limit?" Marcus sighed over the line. "No, Ryan approved that amount. He said there was a significant foundation issue in the garage that fell under the landlord's structural maintenance covenants. He decided to apply a $400,000 offset for the repairs. He said he's already sent a formal letter to Mrs. Sinclair explaining the deduction." "I see," I said, keeping my tone completely neutral. "So Ryan has formally authorized the deduction under the lease?" "Yes, he handled the entire offset paperwork." Marcus confirmed. "He told me he's negotiating a lease amendment with her." "Understood. Thanks, Marcus," I said, and hung up. I had my confirmation. This wasn't an administrative error or a banking delay. It was a deliberate, willful default. Ryan had intentionally withheld $400,000 of the rent in direct violation of Clause 14.1, the no offset clause. Under Texas law, a willful violation of a net lease provision completely strips a tenant of any right to claim equitable relief against forfeiture. They had signed their own eviction notice. At 5 o'clock that afternoon, the Frost Bank portal refreshed. The wire transfer was officially marked as completed. $800,000. 10 minutes later, Eleanor and I met with a senior litigation partner from Winstead PC. We formally rejected the partial payment. We instructed the bank to return the $800,000 to Sterling's account, refusing to accept any partial performance. Meanwhile, I had our legal team investigate the lender's situation. 3 weeks prior, Ryan had closed a $50 million refinance package with Texas Merchant Bank. The bank's closing attorneys had drafted a standard ground lessor's consent and estoppel agreement, which would have required the Sinclair Trust to notify the bank of any defaults and allowed them 10 days to cure it. But Ryan had been in such a rush to close the loan before his father's self-imposed Christmas deadline that he had lied to the bank's underwriters. He told them that Eleanor Sinclair had signed the consent and that the hard copy was in the mail. TMB had proceeded to disburse the $50 million based on Ryan's written warranty and Richard's personal guarantee, without ever securing the signed document from Eleanor. Because the Sinclair Trust had never executed or received the consent agreement, we had no contract with Texas Merchant Bank. We had zero legal obligation to notify them of the default. TMB was completely in the dark. On the morning of December 16th at 10:15, our courier delivered a formal notice of default to Sterling's corporate office. The notice, drafted by Winstead PC, was signed for by Ryan's secretary, Chloe. It stated that the tenant was in default for failure to pay the full $1,200,000 of ground rent, and they had exactly 5 business days to cure the breach by delivering the full amount via federal wire. When Ryan received the letter, he laughed it off. He told Marcus that the old lady was just bluffing and trying to scare them. He believed that no landlord would risk losing an $85 million project over a $400,000 repair dispute. He threw the default notice in his desk drawer, fully expecting Eleanor to call him to negotiate a settlement before the week was out. He waited for a phone call that was never going to come. The cure period ticked away day by day. December 16th, day 1. December 17th, day 2. December 18th, day 3. December 19th and 20th were Saturday and Sunday, non-business days under Texas contract law, so they didn't count toward the 5-day cure period. December 21st, day 4. December 22nd, day 5. The deadline was 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday, December 22nd, day 5. I sat in the Sinclair Trust office watching the clock. At 4:45 p.m. the bank portal remained empty. The 5 business days had run out. At 5 o'clock, I turned to the lead litigation partner from Winstead PC. "The clock has stopped," I said. "Serve the termination notice." On the morning of December 23rd, the temperature in Austin dropped into the low 40s, a cold, dry wind sweeping through the downtown canyons. At 9:15, our process server walked into the lobby of Sterling Development Group on the 8th floor of a building just across the street from the plaza. He pushed open the glass doors of the executive suite and handed a red-stamped folder directly to Ryan Sterling, who was standing by the reception area talking to his father. Inside that folder was a document titled Notice of Leasehold Termination and Reversion of Improvements. It stated that because the tenant had willfully breached Clause 14.1 by withholding rent under a prohibited offset and had failed to cure the default. Within the 5-day statutory window, the Sinclair Family Trust was exercising its rights under Clause 14.5. The ground lease was terminated. The leasehold estate was dissolved. Ownership of the 20-story, $85 million tower now belonged entirely to the Sinclair Family Trust. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. The caller ID showed Richard Sterling's private office line. I picked it up. "David Vance. What the hell is this, David?" Richard roared, his voice cracking with fury. "You think you can steal my building because of a $400,000 repair dispute? We're writing the check for the full $1.2 million right now. Ryan is setting up the wire as we speak." "It's too late, Richard," I said, my voice quiet and level. "The cure period ended yesterday at 5 o'clock. Under Texas law, once the termination notice is served, the default is no longer curable. Your lease is dead. You backstabbing snake," Richard screamed. "You planned this. You've been plotting this since the day we let you go. I'll sue you for professional malpractice. You drafted this lease." "I did draft it, Richard," I replied calmly. "And I drafted Clause 14.1 to state explicitly that the rent must be paid in full without any deduction or offset under any circumstances. You and Ryan willfully violated that clause to force a negotiation. In this state, a willful breach of a net lease provision bars you from seeking equitable relief against forfeiture, and as for malpractice, I am not representing the Sinclair Trust as their attorney. I am their chief operating officer. The litigation is being handled by Winstead PC. I suggest you have your counsel call them." I hung up before he could respond. At 11 a.m., a courier delivered our formal notice to Texas Merchant Bank's regional headquarters on 5th Street, addressed to Arthur Pendleton, the senior vice president of commercial lending. The letter was a cold wake-up call. It informed the bank that the ground lease securing their $50 million refinance loan had been terminated due to tenant default. It noted that because the tenant had failed to deliver a fully executed ground lessor's consent, an estoppel agreement signed by Eleanor Sinclair, the trust had no contractual relationship with the bank and was under no obligation to provide them with a notice of default or an opportunity to cure. Their collateral had ceased to exist. By 1 o'clock, the panic had set, and Sarah, my contact still inside Sterling's office, sent me a text message. Arthur Pendleton from the bank just stormed into Richard's office with 3 lawyers. They're screaming so loud the glass walls are vibrating. Ryan tried to downplay the situation, telling the bank's representatives that the default notice was just a tactical move by a greedy landlord and that their attorneys would get judged to throw it out within 24 hours. But TMB's legal team quickly realized the catastrophic reality. They had disbursed $50 million based on Ryan's fraudulent warranty that the lessor's consent was signed and delivered, and now they had no security interest in the land or the building. At 3 o'clock, Texas Merchant Bank took the only protective measure they had left. They issued a formal notice of acceleration and account freeze. Under the terms of the refinance agreement, the termination of the ground lease constituted an immediate, incurable event of default. The bank declared the entire $50 million loan due and payable immediately. To secure whatever assets they could, the bank exercised its right of offset, freezing all of Sterling Development's corporate operating, payroll, and escrow accounts held at their institution. By 4 o'clock, the construction site at the Sterling Plaza ground to a halt. The general contractor received a notification that their progress payment check for the final interior drywall and electrical work had bounced due to the bank freeze. The news spread through the job site in minutes. Subcontractors packed up their tools, walked out of the building, and refused to return. Meanwhile, Winstead PC filed our formal eviction and quiet title lawsuit in the Travis County District Court, seeking a judicial declaration that the lease was terminated and the building had reverted to the trust. By 5 o'clock, Sterling's defense lawyers filed an emergency application for a temporary restraining order to block the reversion and prevent us from taking possession of the building. The judge scheduled an emergency hearing for the morning of December 27th. I stood by my office window looking across the street at the quiet, darkened silhouette of the Sterling Plaza. The fight was moving to the courtroom, and I knew exactly which files to bring. The courtroom of Judge Albert Harrison in the Travis County District Court was quiet, the air smelling of furniture polish and radiator heat. It was 2 days after Christmas, and the court was running on a skeleton staff, but the high-stakes nature of the dispute had forced an emergency hearing. Sterling Development Group's outside counsel, a senior partner from a prominent firm who charged $1,000 an hour, stood at the podium. He was sweat-stained and desperate, gesturing wildly toward the bench. "Your Honor," he argued, his voice echoing in the empty gallery, "this is a case of extreme bad faith opportunism. The Sinclair Trust is attempting to seize an $85 million asset over a $400,000 maintenance dispute. The tenant attempted to cure the default on December 23rd, just hours after receiving the termination notice. To enforce a forfeiture of this magnitude is unconscionable. It violates the basic principles of equity. We ask for a temporary restraining order to restore the leasehold interest while we litigate the merits." Judge Harrison, a veteran jurist with 30 years on the bench, looked over his glasses at the plaintiff's counsel. Then he turned his gaze to the Winstead litigation team representing the Sinclair Trust. I was sitting at the defense table next to our lead counsel, serving as the trust's representative. Our attorney stood up, adjusting his glasses. He didn't bring a stack of emotional arguments. He brought 3 sheets of paper. "Your Honor," he began, his voice calm and measured, "we are not dealing with a simple administrative oversight. Sterling Development Group is a sophisticated commercial entity. They negotiated this ground lease in 1998. Clause 14.1 is a clear no-offset provision. They willfully chose to withhold $400,000 of the rent as leverage to force a lease amendment. We have submitted the phone logs from December 15th, where the tenant's CFO confirmed to our Chief Operating Officer, David Vance, that this was a deliberate offset." Our attorney stepped forward and handed the documents to the bailiff to pass to the judge. "Furthermore, We have submitted the certified mail return receipt signed by the tenant's representative on December 16th. They had 5 business days to cure. They chose to ignore the notice, believing the landlord would back down. Under Texas law, a party who willfully breaches a contract to gain leverage cannot seek equitable relief. The doctrine of unclean hands applies directly here. The plaintiff's attorney jumped in. Your Honor, the lender, Texas Merchant Bank, was never notified. They have a $50 million mortgage secured by this lease. With all due respect to counsel, our attorney countered. Texas Merchant Bank is not a registered mortgagee under Clause 18.2 of the lease. The tenant failed to deliver the signed ground lessor's consent. The bank's closing attorneys allowed the loan to close based on a fraudulent warranty by Ryan Sterling that the landlord had signed the document. The Sinclair Trust was under no obligation to notify a lender it had no contractual relationship with. Judge Harrison reviewed the documents for a long moment. Finally, he looked up and banged his gavel. Application for a temporary restraining order is denied, Judge Harrison ruled. The language of the contract is clear. The tenant had notice. They had opportunity to cure, and they willfully chose to default. The court will not rewrite a commercial lease to save a developer from the consequences of his own bad faith leverage. However, given the size of the asset, I will schedule a full temporary injunction hearing in 14 days to hear arguments on a permanent resolution. The legal defeat was the beginning of the end for Sterling Development Group. Over the next 14 days, the pressure on Sterling reached a boiling point. With their operating accounts frozen by Texas Merchant Bank and the project paralyzed by walk-offs, the company was staring down the barrel of immediate liquidation. Worse, Texas Merchant Bank's legal department realized they had been defrauded by Ryan Sterling regarding the signed lessor's consent. They threatened to trigger the bad boy guarantee in the loan documents, a clause that converted the non-recourse loan into a personal liability for Richard Sterling in the event of fraud or material misrepresentation. Richard was facing the loss of his entire personal fortune. Sensing their desperation, I designed a tri-party workout settlement to resolve the crisis without a prolonged trial. Under the terms of the settlement, the Sinclair Family Trust used its deep cash reserves to buy the $50 million mortgage from Texas Merchant Bank at a discounted price of $45 million, paying off the bank and taking over the debt. In exchange for the trust releasing Richard Sterling from his personal guarantees and releasing the other board members from liability. Sterling's board of directors agreed to execute a deed in lieu of leasehold foreclosure, handing full ownership of the 20-story tower to the Sinclair Family Trust. The board held an emergency meeting to ratify the agreement. Their first act was to unanimously vote to oust Richard Sterling as CEO and fire Ryan Sterling for gross negligence and fraud. The family empire was dismantled in a single afternoon. Richard and Ryan walked out of the building with nothing but a mountain of shareholder lawsuits and a reputation in ruins. On January 2nd, Eleanor Sinclair and I stood in the lobby of the building. The construction crews were back, hired directly by the newly formed Plazas LLC. Eleanor handed me a leather folder containing the incorporation documents for the new management entity. "Open it," she said. I opened the folder. The operating agreement listed me as the chief operating officer and lead trustee. On page 3, under the equity distribution schedule, my name was listed next to a 10% ownership stake in the property, worth $8.5 million. 10%, Eleanor? I asked. Our agreement was 10% of the net income, not equity. You saved my family's land, David, Eleanor said, patting my arm, and you secured an $85 million asset for our trust. You earned every single percentage point. Now go up and see your new office. I took the elevator up to the 20th floor. The doors opened directly into the penthouse suite. I walked inside. The office was vast, clean, and silent. The floor-to-ceiling glass windows offered a panoramic view of downtown Austin and the Colorado River winding its way through the city. I set my cardboard box on the mahogany desk. I took out my leather notebooks, my Mont Blanc fountain pen, and the framed photo of my late wife, placing them neatly on the wood surface. I walked over to the glass wall and looked down. Across the street, the old Sterling Development Group logo was being scraped off the front of their building by 2 workers on a scaffolding. I took a slow sip of my coffee, feeling the warmth spread through my chest. For 15 years, I had worked in the shadows of other men's greed, building their dreams while they tried to steal mine. But in the end, the contract held. The law was clear, and the building was mine.